Good afternoon. I want to welcome you to another segment of the Jermaine Brown Sports Talk Show. Today is Wednesday, December the 30th, 2015. I want to talk about the big event that took place yesterday in the NFL, and that was the firing of Chip Kelly. Now, Jeffrey Lurie, who is the owner of the Philadelphia Eagles, gave his press conference today. And basically, he gave you the politically correct answer as to why Chip Kelly was released. Well, guess what? On this show, I'm not giving you the politically correct answer. I'm going to give you the answer. In other words, I'm going to do what Jeffrey Lurie, I'm going to say what Jeffrey Lurie wanted to say, but he couldn't say as to why this man got fired. So, Lurie, why did you fire Chip Kelly now? It's real simple. Okay? It all goes back to let's start with Riley Cooper, when he used the N-word, okay? Now, it wasn't that incident that got him fired, but it was his handling of it. He sent the man to sensitivity training, okay? And he got rid of important players like Deshaun Jackson, players who could actually play. Deshaun Jackson, LaShawn McCoy, okay? Jeremy Maclin, Evan Mathis. He got rid of very good players, and not only did he keep Riley Cooper, but he gave him a new contract. So now there was word going around that not so much that Chip Kelly was a racist, but that he has an issue dealing with outspoken black folks, black men. And I couldn't have that in my franchise. His lack of communication skills was alarming, okay? The fact that he didn't know how to communicate not only with the players, but with management, which means the guy who I wanted in charge of the GM duties. So what I did was I basically set him up to fail. I gave him the GM duties knowing he was going to fail and we was going to be at this moment, okay? Because if I didn't give him the GM duties and I fired him, then what is everybody going to say? Well, Chip Kelly never really got a chance to get the team he wanted. Okay? That him and the GM butted heads the whole time and he never had a chance to succeed. So by me giving him the duties that he wanted, which was he wanted to be the cook, the dishwater, the washer, the bottle holder, he wanted it all. He wanted to be the coach and the GM. Okay? So I gave it to him because I knew if he failed, I'm firing him. Okay? And now I'm able to put back the guy who I wanted in that position back in charge. Because look at Chip Kelly, the GM. Chip Kelly, the GM, got rid of LaShawn McCoy, Deshaun Jackson, Evan Mathis. Okay? He got rid of Jeremy Maclin. He got rid of star players. And he didn't replace them with star players. And there was always some sort of controversy. It was an embarrassment. He brought in DeMarco Murray, paid DeMarco Murray all that money and didn't even know how to use him. He went and he brought in Sam Bradford, and Sam Bradford looks lost in the system. This is why I fired him. Okay? He's incompetent. That's what Jeffrey Lurie really wanted to say today, folks, but he really could not because you want to be politically correct and you don't want to really slam a guy like that on his way out the door. But the reality is Chip Kelly did a bad job. There is no ands, ifs, or buts about it. Chip Kelly failed Chip Kelly. Okay? And I don't think Chip Kelly was too sad about getting fired because, to be really honest, there's going to be other offers out there. And trust me, someone else is going to make him an offer. Because as Mark Schlereth said, there's always some dumb owner around the league anyway. And he's right. Now, there are those who wanted to say, well, he didn't know if he was going to fire Chip Kelly. He wanted to go in there meeting to feel out Chip Kelly. No, he didn't. Let me explain something to you, folks. This man couldn't wait to fire Chip Kelly. How do I know this? Because it is rare you see a coach get fired a week before the end of the season. A week before, he couldn't have waited. First of all, you don't see a coach and a coach and an owner have that kind of a meeting during the season, especially that late during the season. Usually you would just wait until the end of the season and then you would have your year-end review, okay? And so he would have your year-end review and then you'll make your decision there. But Jeffrey Lurie, if you listen to that press conference today, folks, he basically told you without telling you he couldn't wait to fire this man. Now, he's going to tell you that, oh, he wanted to get a jump on the head coaching search. Folks, that week wouldn't have made a difference because you already would have had your list ahead of time because you already knew what you wanted to do. So you would have secretly been putting out the feelers, getting a list of who's all your coaching candidates. So you're not speaking to no coaching candidate this week anyway. So that 1 week wouldn't have made no difference. So that's a bunch of BS that he wanted to get a jump on it. No, you do that weeks ago or months ago if you really is serious about getting a jump on the head coaching search. A week before the season, folks, isn't going to make at the end of the season isn't going to make that big of a difference because everyone knew that the Eagles were eliminated on Saturday. Okay? The Eagles were eliminated on Saturday. Now, there's also people criticizing Lurie saying, like, oh, boy. Oh. There is Teddy Bruschi who was criticizing Jeffrey Lurie saying, well, how you going to allow a player to go over the coach's head and go and talk to you that, oh, in New England that wouldn't have happened and this, that, and the other because championship teams don't allow things like that to happen. Newsflash to Teddy Bruschi. Philadelphia is not a championship team, number one. And number two, let's say Robert Kraft wanted to jettison Bill Belichick. Do you really think he's not going to take the players' input before he makes that move? Do you not think he's going to get the ears of the players before he makes that move? If he wanted to jettison Bill Belichick? The reason why he doesn't allow it is because Bill Belichick has the clout and he's not looking to get rid of him. Just like Andy Reid operated as head coach / GM for many years with the Eagles, okay? And guess what? I guarantee you Jeffrey Lurie didn't allow players to go over Andy Reid's head to go talk to him. He allowed that to happen with Chip because he was looking to get rid of Chip. So getting the players' gripes just made his decision that much easier. That's the reason why he took those meetings with the players. But don't think that Jeffrey Lurie does this all the time. He's no Jerry Jones. Jeffrey Lurie is no Jerry Jones. Trust me. Yes, that was something Jerry Jones would do. But Jeffrey Lurie is no Jerry Jones. And I'm not criticizing Jerry, but I'm just trying to point out something. Jeffrey Lurie don't usually allow a player to go over the coach's head to air his gripes to him. Unless he wants the man out. And he wanted this man out in the worst way. Because why? This man embarrassed his organization. Because when the word was going around, and listen, no matter what you may personally think of Stephen A. Smith and stuff, Stephen A. does have the ears to the ground of what's going on down there in Philly. Because remember, he used to cover them. He used to work in Philly. And there's players around the league, especially players on that team, that talks to him. So when he was telling you that there's problems in that Eagles locker room about Chip Kelly, he's not making this stuff up. So what sense did it make for the owner to give Chip Kelly another year? Yes, usually I'm not in favor of just firing a guy off one losing season. But this is one of those rare exceptions where, you know what? Chip Kelly proved to be so incompetent in doing his job, you had to let him go. Because this wasn't going to get fixed by next year. Because think about it this way, folks. The one thing you have to have settled, if you're going to have any shot in this league, is the quarterback position. And if you listen to the way Sam Bradford was talking lately, it didn't look like he wanted to come back here. And not that Sam Bradford would have settled the position, but it left the position or leaves the position in flux. You couldn't have that. You need to get that position settled. Do you really think Chip Kelly was going to get that position settled, folks? I don't think so. In other words, I didn't see where the Eagles was going to make this real marked improvement under Chip Kelly. I think Chip Kelly was in over his head. And Chip kind of knew it towards the end. And so he basically was looking for a lifeline. That's why he didn't fight for his job. Because he already knew that the owner wanted him out. That's why the owner came out and said, no, he didn't offer him to just coach the team. Because first of all, and I want you to think about this, folks. Let's say you have certain powers. You can coach, your coach, and the GM. If they tell about taking away the GM job from you, that's a tantamount to they don't really want you around. That is what they're really telling you. They don't just have the guts to come out for whatever reason to come out and say you're fired or you're out of here. But they're looking for the most PR strategic way of getting rid of you. It's just like I was saying with Denver and Peyton Manning, okay? When they don't want you around, they'll tell you, you got to take a pay cut. You got to work with this coach, knowing that this coach didn't really want to work with him to begin with. Okay? They do. The NFL is funny like that. They don't just come out and say, we want you out. What they're going to do is they're going to insult you by either telling you, we're reducing your powers, or you got to take a pay cut, or you got to do something that is going to be humiliating, and everybody kind of knows that the organization doesn't really want you around. You know that the organization doesn't really want you around, and so everybody, it creates what is called an awkward environment. And it's hard to be successful when the environment is awkward. So it didn't make sense for Jeffrey Lurie to go and say to Chip Kelly, I want you to just coach the team, but I'm taking back personnel control. No. If you're going to fire Chip Kelly the GM, you might as well fire Chip Kelly the coach. That makes the most sense. Get a clean break. That makes the most sense, folks. Fire Chip Kelly the coach. Fire Chip Kelly the GM. Get rid of both of them. Now you get to start anew. Now he's bringing back Howie Roseman into the fold. I'm not necessarily sold that that's the best move, but that's another story for another day. But here is what I am sold on. Chip Kelly had to go. And what he did was he mercifully brought the end of the Chip Kelly regime. Because like I said, if he really didn't hate this man that much or really had a strong dislike for this man, he could have just waited the week. Because it only took, folks, was just to wait one more week. And he could have did it on what they call Black Monday. That's the day, usually the day after the season where every coach who's going to get fired gets fired. Every GM who's going to get fired gets fired. Usually that happens the day right after the season ends. But he didn't even want to wait there. That tells you how much they really wanted. He really wanted this man out of that building. And to be honest, quite frankly, I cannot blame Jeffrey Lurie. But like I said, I just explained to you the way Jeffrey Lurie really wanted to tell everybody why he was fired, but he couldn't, for political reasons, say, because you got to be political about it, because you don't want to come out and say what is really the truth. But the way that his lack of communication skills was appalling. His lack of communication skills, the way he handled a lot of things. And, there were some signs that I missed, but there were some signs throughout the season that this was coming. First of all, Jeffrey Lurie's warm embrace of LaShawn McCoy when Buffalo came to play the Eagles a couple of weeks ago. In midfield right before the game. There was about a 2-3 minute embrace and them talking and stuff. When you see the former owner or the owner doing that to a former player, that usually that in the open is usually not a very good sign. That tells me that the owner wasn't really on board with some of the moves that the coach/GM or the GM/coach was making. Okay, that was very awkward. And I remember my dad and cousins telling me, they said, Jermaine, something looks a foul. That doesn't look right. And I just said, nah, you know what? Hey, you're just being fond memories. But in actuality, no, they were right. I was wrong on this because that right there was a sign. Here's usually another sign that the coach is in trouble. Anytime the owner has to come into the locker room and give a pep talk to the players, usually that's tantamount to that coach is about to get his money. And when I mean by get his money, for those who are not aware, that means get fired. Because when the owner got to do it, he's looking at the coach like, you're incapable of doing this, so I got to do it. Okay? And right before the New England game, it was reported that Jeffrey Lurie went down to the locker room and gave an impassioned speech. Okay? That does not look good if you're Chip Kelly, the coach. If you're Chip Kelly, the GM, that doesn't look good. So there were some signs throughout the season that this was not going to end well. Now, if you're the Eagles, where do you go from here? Well, you really should hire a GM or make it clear, because I don't think he did a good job of making it clear what the roles is going to be moving forward. What is Howie Roseman's role? Is he going to just be the president of player personnel? What is his role? Is he going to be the GM? The owner evaded that question. Why, I don't know. But you need to establish roles because people need to know you got this, that you're in control, you know what is going on. They don't want to see that you're just middling through to try to figure out this on the fly. Okay? And here's also, now that I think about it, another sign that maybe the Chip Kelly regime was over. Because in Chip Kelly's last press conference, which was on Saturday, I believe it was after the game. No, that wasn't his last press conference. It was the press conference before last. After the game, it was reported that the lights went out on him in the middle of the press conference. Now, was that accidental or was that on purpose? We got to wonder. And then I think the final straw for Chip Kelly, I think Chip Kelly might have survived the week if he didn't come back the next day, which was Sunday, and came out and told everybody he's not the GM, he's just the coach, with some personnel say. I think that rubbed Lurie, that was the final straw with Lurie. And I think that's why Lurie did it when he did. I want to thank you for watching another segment of the Jermaine Brown Sports Talk Show. Have a good night.